Volodymyr Zelenskyi, Ukraine's wartime leader and a symbol of resilience, wasn't always a politician. In fact, he started out making people laugh. So how did he go from cracking jokes to leading a nation in its darkest hour? Let's break it down. Born on January 25, 1978 in Ukraine, Zelensky grew up in a Jewish family with strong academic roots. His father, Oleksandr, is a professor and a tech genius, while his mother, Rima, spent decades working as an engineer. Here's a fun fact. Zelensky actually spent 4 years of his childhood in Mongolia. His father was working on building a mining and processing plant there, so the family relocated. Zelensky even finished first grade in Mongolia before moving back to Ukraine.
Своим родителям, моей маме и своему папе я передаю большой привет. Приезжайте к нам почаще, я вас люблю.
Speaking of education, he attended a school with an advanced English program. And he didn't just study, he did everything. Wrestling, weightlifting, basketball, volleyball, ballroom dancing, and even playing the piano. On top of that, he collected stamps, played guitar in a school band, and took part in school theater. It's safe to say he never had a boring day.
В нашем классе много девчонок были в него влюблены.
Academically, he was top tier too. He even won a scholarship to study in Israel at 16. But his father wasn't on board with that idea, so Zelensky stayed in Ukraine. That didn't stop him from standing out. In his senior year, he put together a team of students to face off against the teachers in a comedy competition, and the students won. Young Zelensky considered a career in diplomacy, but ended up pursuing law instead.
Да, закончил юрфак, в общем, как-то и очень хорошо закончил, и учился вроде как.
However, even though he did great in school, he never worked as a lawyer. Spoiler alert, comedy had bigger plans for him. That's when he met the people who would become his lifelong creative team: Denis Monjosov, Yuri Kropov, and Oleksandr Pikolov. Together, they formed the comedy team Kvartal 95 as part of a popular Russian comedy competition where teams compete through humorous answers and prepared sketches. They quickly made a name for themselves in the post-Soviet entertainment world, and Kvartal 95 became a massive hit.
Горячий песочек. Ой, горячий, конечно. А как водичка сегодня? Водичка, пойду попробую. Пойди попробуй. О, холодненько. Ой, холодненько.
But in 2003, they clashed with the Russian comedy competition organizers. Zelensky was offered a solo deal, but he turned it down. Instead, he took his team, left Russian television, and started something entirely their own.
Когда ты выбираешь быть с людьми, с твоими друзьями, и ты их не променяешь ни на что, ни на ковришки, ни на то.
As Olena Kravitz, the only woman in the Kvartal 95 sketch group, once said, I think he never betrays himself or his principles and what he believes in. If he believes in something, there's really no way to overcome the obstacles. He pushes through everything. Volodymyr is a man with heart, a fiery engine, as they say. I think his endless talent is in how he managed to stay creative, remain an artist, stay a writer, to write something on paper, to create, to stay alone with himself, while also managing a big business.
Часто уявляю собі, як ми зустрінемось після перемоги, і мені здається, я буду його дуже довго обіймати.
That same year marked another big change in his life. He married his childhood sweetheart, Olena Kyashko, now Zelenska. A power couple in every sense, they later welcomed 2 kids, Oleksandra in 2004 and Kirilo in 2013.
That is my love, and that is my best friend, so that is my energy.
Meanwhile, his comedy team, Kvartal 95, was on the rise. They hustled hard to launch their first TV project, even taking on side gigs to fund it. Zelensky hosted a cooking show, but every penny went back into their dream.
Вот теперь можно с уверенностью сказать, лед тронулся, господа присяжные заседатели. Командовать парадом будет мистер Кук.
In 2005, their big break came. They launched a TV show called Night Kvartal. Zelensky was the driving force behind it, taking on roles as creator, writer, director, and lead actor. The show quickly became a massive hit.
Я так не могу больше жить с ними, с твоими родичами. Когда ты полгода назад сказала, Вовочка, нас ждет пополнение. Я думал, речь идет о ребенке. Почему они все у нас?
Here's where things took a political turn. The show wasn't just about making people laugh. It was sharp, satirical, and fearless. Kvartal 95 didn't hold back when it came to politics. They had a way of ridiculing politicians so convincingly that the audience couldn't get enough of it. Critics called Kvartal political cabaret, and Zelensky became one of the most recognizable figures in Ukraine.
Но вообще ни для кого не секрет, что на днях в России состоятся выборы Путина Российской Федерации. И главная интрига этих выборов – сможет ли Путин 2018-го набрать голосов больше, чем Путин 2012-го?
By the mid-2000s, Zelensky was everywhere. He won Dancing with the Stars, starred in films, and was even named a sex symbol. Turns out charisma goes a long way. Meanwhile, Kvartal 95 expanded fast, becoming a full-fledged production studio. Zelensky wasn't just an actor anymore, he was running the show.
Жарти повинні бути. Тоді ти розумієш, в чому твої помилки, в чому проблеми в Україні.
From 2010 to 2012, Zelensky was the general producer at a popular Ukrainian TV channel, with many of his team members in key roles. He also voiced some iconic characters like Paddington Bear.
Привіт, Мийка Вікон.
You're a busy man.
Yes.
And here's the thing. Zelensky's show, Kvartal 95, became one of the rare places where people could actually speak out against Ukraine's pro-Russian president at the time, Viktor Yanukovych, without facing any serious consequences. It was like a safe space for political humor in a time when the government wasn't too keen on criticism.
Вообще-то я просто звоню.
Да, я знаю. Последний раз, когда вы просто звонили, Владимир Владимирович, мы в Европу не попали.
Then came 2014. When Russia attacked Ukraine and annexed Crimea, Zelensky didn't stay silent. He publicly condemned the invasion and refused to perform in Russia.
Мы с Шойгу обсуждали вход российских войск в Крым.
Я на дуру похож? Я смотрю русские новости. Никаких войск в Крыму нет.
Stopping performances in Russia was a bold move that cost Kvartal 95 a lot of money. It had been one of their biggest markets, but it also solidified Zelensky's reputation back home.
Добрый вечер, Украина. Добрый вечер, Киев. Любимый я, Владимир Зеленский, специально для Чисто Ньюс нахожусь здесь, в сердце России, если, конечно, сердце у нее еще осталось.
As Volodymyr's fame skyrocketed, so did his career. By 2015, Volodymyr had already been a big star in Ukraine, starting with Kvartal 95 and appearing in movies. But when he created a series called Servant of the People, it was his time to truly shine. It is a political satire, where he played an everyday school teacher who unexpectedly becomes president of Ukraine. The show made him a household name. It turned out to be eerily prophetic. Life truly has a way of imitating art, doesn't it? Fast forward to 2019, and Volodymyr found himself stepping into the real role of president of Ukraine.
Я іду в президенти України.
But little did he know, the road ahead would be anything but easy. The ongoing war in the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, the annexation of Crimea, Ukraine had been grappling with these crises for years. Now, let's just say, Olena wasn't exactly jumping for joy at the thought of him running for president, and his parents were deeply anxious too.
Вчера были сильные переживания.
Вчера же был
Вчера
суд.
суд.
Ну, до часу ночи
Мы уже посмотрели.
посмотрели. Сейчас успокоились, конечно.
But Volodymyr, true to his nature, didn't back down. He was determined to make a change, even if the journey ahead was uncertain.
I agree with the theory that marriage gets stronger with challenges.
As president, Volodymyr made regular visits to the front lines in Donbass, where the conflict was still raging. Olena understandably was worried. The thought of him being so close to danger weighed heavily on her, but she never opposed him. Instead, she supported him every step of the way.
Ніхто в мене чоловіка не забере, навіть війна.
Volodymyr, as Supreme Commander-in-Chief, believed it was his duty to boost the morale of the soldiers on the front lines. In his words, "Our shared duty is to remember the heroes. My personal duty is to support the morale of the military, who are on the front line doing everything they can to protect Ukraine." Then came COVID-19, yet another hurdle for the new president during an already difficult time. It felt like the challenges just kept piling up. And just when it seemed like life might return to normal after the pandemic, Everything changed on February 24th, 2022, the day that would be etched into the memory of every Ukrainian. Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. That moment divided time into two parts, before and after.
Наступая, вы будете видеть наши лица. Не наши спины, наши лица.
The war has obviously taken a huge toll on Zelensky and his family. Even though he was offered a chance to leave, Volodymyr chose to stay with his people. When the US offered to evacuate him, he told them, "The fight is here. I need ammunition, not a ride." That moment really showed his determination to stand with Ukraine, no matter what.
Президент тут. Всі ми тут. Наші військові тут. Громадяни суспільства тут. Всі ми тут. Захищаємо нашу незалежність.
The threat was real. An assassination attempt was made on his life in the early days of the invasion. It's hard to imagine the weight of that decision, not just for him, but for Olena, who knew that every day brought a new danger to her family. But still, Zelensky's wife and children decided to stay in Ukraine during the war. The most important thing is that my children are proud of me, and I'm glad they are in Ukraine. This is very important for a president, former or current. When you are at war with a state, your children must be here because the country is here, because our boys and girls are dying here, he said.
Родина вже ж, як і всі українські родини, зараз роз'єднана.
And when the world is at its hardest, they still manage to make each other laugh. It's this bond of friendship and mutual respect that has kept their relationship strong. We are friends, real friends for each other, Olena says. And that's truly the secret of their marriage. In interviews, Zelensky has also admitted how much he misses his family.
Я їх люблю. Безумовно, свою дружину. Мої діти – головні люди для мене.
Their time together is limited, but the constant communication and mutual understanding keep them grounded. And while Volodymyr jokes about missing Olena's breakfast-making skills, it's clear that they both make the best of their situation.
Nobody gives me breakfast in the morning.
Despite the hardships, Zelensky remains confident in the strength of their marriage. True love only grows stronger when it goes through difficult times, Olena believes, and that's exactly how she sees her relationship with Volodymyr.
We want to say, let's love each other and let's love Ukraine.
Volodymyr and Olena Zelensky's story is more than just about politics and war. It's about love, sacrifice, and a shared dream for a brighter future.
You asked whether I thought this war would last so long. No, because I didn't start this war.
Through it all, their bond remains unbreakable. Volodymyr isn't just a leader. He's a loving dad, a devoted husband, and someone who's always there for his people. Together with Olena, they face every challenge side by side. And that, my friends, is something truly special.